Well, hey guys, happy Saturday to you guys. It is Saturday. It's December 6th. By the way, that is the first Saturday of December 2025. Welcome, everyone. We have another master topic. We'll get to that in just a minute. If it's your first time here, I want to take the opportunity to say welcome and thank you for joining me. If you're coming back, definitely want to say welcome back and thank you for joining me again. Really do appreciate that. Don't forget to check out believemeachieve.com for more of my, of course, amazing, inspiring creations, which you can do right after the show is over, 24 hours a day, by visiting believemeachieve.com. All right. So you know what we do here. We're a daily motivational show. Really grateful to have you. Oh, and if you're thirsty, feel free to go get yourself a hot tea or chocolate like I have here, a snack, a beverage, a cookie, some fruit, whatever it is, and come on back to the show. All right, guys. Without any further ado, I'd like to go ahead and kick this show off. All right, guys. So welcome. This is John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, graduate student, and of course, a passionate lifelong learner. And of course, it is my privilege and pleasure and honor to be with you here this evening or today because you're tuned into the daily inspirational show called Inspirations for Your Life. And it is the daily motivational show that helps you build a motion mindset and live with intention. So I think sometimes, guys, we forget some of the stuff that's out there, right? We forget what's going on or why things are happening a certain way. We kind of get stuck into well, we get stuck in our own rhythm, and I think that's a very important thing for for people to realize that when we think about how the show can be, what the show should be about, what are we doing on the show, and the bottom line is, guys, we do all types of motivation. Okay, all types of motivation, and motivation, guys, doesn't just start like anywhere. You have to have a plan for motivation to really, really work. I mean, I think that's an important thing. But I know sometimes people, well, they get a little bit lost because they're getting bombarded by like a million different things. I think that's something that a lot of people don't quite understand, but I think it's something that we need to understand. So again, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let's get this show kicked off because, like I said, guys, it is an amazing show tonight. Well, it's always an amazing show, right? So when life goes on autopilot, you don't need another someday plan. You need a wake up call that is practical, specific, and kind of impossible to ignore. This is John C. Morley. As I said, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and you guys know all the things that I do. But I think it's important to understand one thing: anybody can have success in their life. Doesn't matter what age, what time of day. Being passionate and a lifelong learner is a real key to success. And tuning in daily to the show is something that I think a lot of people don't realize, but it really can ignite you and get you unstuck to be unstoppable. This week's master topic is Reset Week: Second Chances, Fresh Starts, and Daily Do-Overs, Series 4, Show 50, Episode 1. And tonight's episode is all about See It Clearly, your personal wake-up call. Where you and are you going to stop pretending everything is fine and start designing the change that you actually want? I think sometimes people don't do this because they get stuck, right? They get stuck. And the reason they get stuck is very simple. They become perfectionists, all right? And by becoming a perfectionist, well, guys, it's hard. And not everything is going to work the way you want the first time, all right? That's important. So, number one, First, notice one area of your life that feels like it's running on autopilot and actually write it down. Instead of letting it float around in your head, when you ask if nothing changes here, what will this look like a year from now? You force yourself to see the real destination of your current path, not the one you wish you were on. Circle the part of that picture you absolutely do not want to live with, and let that be your honest starting point. All right. Number two, next, admit one truth you've been dodging about your habits or your choices, and name one thing you keep saying you'll fix later, but you never do. When you decide that later is now and put today's date next to it, you turn a vague intention into a time stamped commitment. Now, everybody always says, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow." But tomorrow never comes because it's always going to be the next tomorrow. List three ways, guys, staying the same has already cost you time, energy, or even peace. And then ask, what's the real price of doing nothing? Because doing nothing is never free. No, it might seem like it's free, but when you do this, you sacrifice potential to get ahead sooner. Number three, pick one feeling you're tired of waking up with: stress, guilt, regret, and then choose one feeling you actually want to wake up with. Instead, calmness, focus, hope. Write one sentence that starts with, "I am done pretending that," whatever it is, and let yourself be brutally honest. Then stand up, take a deep breath, and say out loud, "Something has to change, and I'm in." So your body hears the decision your mind is making and starts to put things in motion. Number four, think of one person you'd be embarrassed to update if you stayed stuck like this, and one person you'd be proud to update if you actually changed it, right? I think those are important things that some people, again, don't realize, what's happening. They just don't understand what's happening or why. So decide which version of that story you want to tell them in 90 days. Identify one tiny behavior, just one, that proves to every day that you're stuck. Maybe you're snoozing, you're doom scrolling, right, on social media, or always starting, "Well, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it the next day." It's always tomorrow. And decide you won't do that one behavior for the rest of today. Can you do that for me? Just do it for just today. And then you're going to start to realize that your life's going to change. Number five, choose one signal that tells you you're slipping back into old patterns, like a phrase you say, a tab you open, or a time of day you always crash. Then choose one rescue move you'll use when you notice that signal: a glass of water, a short walk, a reset breath, or a 5-minute action toward your new path. Look around your space and spot one object that screams old me. Then move it, trash it, or donate it as a physical sign that you're not that version anymore. That's hard for a lot of people because when they get rid of something, especially if it's materialistic, they feel like they don't have a crutch anymore. And that's scary for a lot of people. Number six, play, yes, but take 5 minutes to walk and mentally list what you're no longer willing to settle, to tolerate from yourself, from others, patterns, excuses, or moods that don't match who you want to become. Write down the phrase, "change is coming." Either way, I'd rather help design it and let that become your new lens. Ask yourself, if my life were a movie, is this the part where I wake up? And if the answer is yes, decide one thing you will not complain about anymore without taking at least one action. Number 7, choose one area where, let's say, I don't know how has really meant I haven't tried yet. See, people that say they can't haven't even tried. They've given up before they've even put pencil to paper or, you know, hammer to nail, etc. And promise yourself you will replace one excuse with one experiment this week. Think of one big change you made in the past and remind yourself that you survived it, learned from it, and probably grew because of it. Take one photo or write one short note today that captures. This is the day I stopped pretending and started paying attention. Before bed tonight, write one line. Today, I woke up to the fact that I deserve better and I'm willing to work for it. That single sentence turns everything all around, guys. And it's something you've heard and it's something that you've acted on. Okay. A lot of people get stuck and then they chastise themselves for being stuck. They're like, oh, I'll just stay stuck. Like, I'm just going to stay here. I don't care what it is. Some people, they play the martyr game and they're looking for sympathy. One thing I never do, guys, is I never put out, if I'm having a challenge, I never put out, oh, woe is me. I never do that. Why? Because it's not productive. It's counterproductive, right? How do you take being stuck to being someone that gets in motion? Again, don't expect to do everything like now, okay? But take small, tiny steps. Small, tiny steps. That's important, guys. Small, tiny steps. I think when we realize what small steps are about and how they're about just being, well, continually pushing forward. Sometimes we don't push forward because we don't think we can. And that push is something we have to believe in. You see, we can have these grand dreams, but if we never believe in ourselves, we're never going to catch the glimpse of what we need to do to be successful. Because our attention is going to be focused on things that are not related to being successful. Does that make sense, guys? So not being successful happens because we get stuck in this abyss, in this maze. And then we don't know. They don't get it because people think somebody else is going to step in and help you out. I'm not saying people won't help you out, but we can't always expect other people to bail us out of challenges. Because if we do, we're never going to put our own resources in to come up with our own solution, right? This was very common. I know when I was in grammar school, a lot of the parents always want to jump in and help their kids, right? And I would always say, Mom, I appreciate the help, but I got to learn how to do this myself. And when you start to understand that, you start to become a different person. You start to be somebody who is accountable for the things for which they do in life. But if you can't be accountable, then what do you do? I think what happens is we get stuck. We get tired of being stuck, right? If we're so tired of being stuck, how is it that we can move forward? Well, I think we can always move forward in life, but the key is how do we take where we are at this present juncture, this present moment in life, and figure out how we get somewhere. So let me give you an example. Maybe you want to play tennis. Maybe you've never played tennis in your life before. You might say, well, gee, John, I can't play tennis. I don't know how to hold a racket. Well, that's step one. Once you learn how to hold a racket, you have to learn how to do a forehand, your primary hand, and then a backhand. And you have to get comfortable with it. Remember I said you have to practice getting uncomfortable? And so practicing how to serve is one important thing. If you can't get the ball in the box, well, then you're going to keep losing. If you don't know how to volley the ball or you miss the ball, you're going to lose too, because then you're going to break the volley and the ball's going to hit your court, and then you're not going to be able to return it, and then the other player gets a point. Remember, you only get a point when you serve. Tennis is just one thing. There's millions of other things out there that we need to do before we get to certain level. Let's take baking. You guys know I love to bake. I've baked for years. I love baking. And so before you can be a good baker, you have to first understand one thing. You have to know how to measure. That's number one. And you have to learn the different types of measuring techniques, like sifting out, with the knife, or if you're patting down for packed brown sugar. Once you've learned how to do that, and you know how to do mise en place, which is basically preparing all your ingredients first, learning how to mix them in, starting to learn about dough textures and dough consistencies, and be a mindful watching eye of, oh, that dough doesn't look right, or this doesn't seem right. You start to troubleshoot and say, oh, gee, this is why this isn't working. Okay? I had somebody the other day, and you guys know I make great cookies. So there was this one person on social media, and things like this happen. And I said, I sent the picture, and he didn't get back to it. I said, what'd you think of the cookies, right? This was being, friendly. And he came back with a very rude comment. Now, not a curse or anything like that. He said to me, the cookies look like dog food. So I just said to myself, first would be to say, gee, what's going on? What's wrong with this guy? I said, no, don't do that. The problem's not with me. The problem's with him. The problem is that he's a heckler. The problem is that he's looking for a response. So I could have gone two ways. One, ignore him, which I did. Or the second way, oh yeah, you think my cookies are like dog food? Well, maybe they look like that, but they're 5-star taste. I didn't want to challenge him. I don't need to challenge him. I just say goodbye. And if I get any more negative from that person, I just block them. You see, a lot of people in our world, they want to get a rise out of you. They want to push your buttons and they want you to get excited because that's what they live for. They live for trying to make your life miserable. But when you don't return any emotion, they just walk away. They give up. Now, I know that I won't send that person any more pictures anymore because they have a mentality that's the propagation of most people's shoe size. Why do people get nasty sometimes? I think it's because sometimes they're jealous themselves of what you've accomplished. And I always believe that if somebody else has accomplished something good, we should celebrate in their victory. Okay? Celebrate in their victory. Because when you do this, life changes. You celebrate their victory, they're going to want to celebrate your victory. But there are going to be people in this world, I got to tell you guys, that are just not, they're not going to be on board with you getting ahead of them. And that's just the nature of our world. So we can reset this week. We can give somebody a second chance, but why would I give that person a second chance? Once somebody's rude to me, I'm not going to give you a second chance, right? If the person apologizes, sure, but I already know that when you make a comment like, it looks like dog food, that was hurtful. But when I dismissed from it and said, okay, it's coming from somebody I have no respect for, it didn't really affect me or disempower me. If I got attached to it, it would have. But I'm like, it's just somebody on social media that just, has nothing better to do with their time. I think knowing that we can push the reset button on a lot of things, right, is handy. But knowing that we can have our own reset to go back, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a task we're working on, a commitment, we all sometimes need to hit that reset button, right? And allow us to start over with a fresh new slate. Reset allows us to be empowered. Reset allows us to start again. It does. It allows us to start again and again. And I think these are important things to realize. That a reset's about starting again and again and again. A reset allows us to bring the pointer back to the beginning. It allows us to start with no marks on the board. Maybe we had a score. It allows us to wipe out the score and start from zero. A reset means that whatever happened in the past, well, they've all been dismissed. We're going to reset where you stand. We're going to shake our hands and re-meet each other like we never met before. Sometimes people will say that. You know what? Let's do this all over. Why don't we meet again next week and let's meet again for the first time and let's do this differently. Okay. Reset is something we don't hear a lot. We hear the words give up. We hear the words I'm a failure. We hear the words I can't reset. There's no time. But do you want to waste more time being unhappy when you could just reset? Right? Think about that for a moment. Think about second chances. Did you ever want a second chance and maybe you didn't get one because the person didn't give you one? Sometimes it's not up to us whether we get the second chance, but it is up to us if we're going to give someone else a second chance. Sometimes that actually might open the door to allow a new beginning. Not all the time, but sometimes. And knowing that we can push the reset button to get us back to where we started, the very beginning. If you push the reset button on, let's say a thing you have that maybe it's a counter or something, you press it, it resets back to zero. If you have a measuring tape and you press reset, the tape goes back in. So therefore, there's no tape, and you start at zero again. I think when we hear the word reset, it gets a lot of people worried and anxious. It does. But I don't want you to be scared of reset. Reset is something that can empower us. Now, I'm not telling you to press the reset button every day. I'm telling you that if you feel that you can't go anymore, you're stuck, reset, regroup, go back to the drawing board, figure out what would it look like when I'm successful? What would it look like when I've made progress? What would it look like when I made a profit? Does that make sense, guys? Reset is something that we don't hear very often because sometimes a reset, guys, it's not possible. Second chance, fresh starts, daily do-overs. Don't do over something every day. I mean, we want to be cognizant of that, right? Reset, do over. But then don't repeat the same mistake over and over again. Learn from your mistake and do it better this time. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening or have been watching, yes, the ever popular Inspirations for Your Life motivational show with myself, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, graduate student, and yes, a passionate lifelong learner. Launching Reset Week, second chances, fresh starts, and daily do-overs with your personal wake-up call. If this helped you see yourself more clearly, visit believemeachieve.com for more keen insights of my tools and content and connect with me there. Share, comment, and let's start making your life better one day at a time. Have a good one, everyone, and be well.